Good morning. Welcome to the start of another academic year and the 2024 engagement sessions. It's so great to see all of you here. Full house, that's great. We do have some seats available in the front row if anybody wants to come up to the front. So my name is Meredith Wentz. I serve as the Assistant Chancellor for Planning, Assessment, Research, and Quality, and I'm pleased to kick off the events for this morning. So our agenda today will start off with a presentation from Chancellor Frank. Then we will go into an awards presentation. And following that, we will break for lunch and activities. I'll tell you more about the lunch and activities after the presentation. So with that, I'd like to introduce Chancellor Frank.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to fall. And boy, does it feel like fall out there, right? But it feels like fall in here. This is the happiest time of year for me when the campus comes alive and we are back celebrating everything that we do. So it is wonderful to see all of you here today. So last week was a significant week for Stout at the Board of Regents meeting. So I have integrated some of the material from the Board of Regents into this presentation so that we are all on the same page and can celebrate that work together. As with any presentation that I give, right, we are celebrating the work that we do because there is so much to celebrate. But oftentimes when I give a presentation, after that presentation I hear, yeah, you told us all the good stuff, and then you told us that there's more to do. Yeah, I do that because there's always more work to do, right? And that doesn't diminish anything that we've accomplished because as you'll see in this presentation, we have accomplished a lot. But, you know, as I told my writing students, and as I said during my investiture remarks, and as I probably said during my interview, right? A paper is never done, it's only due, right? There's always more that we can do to improve. Continuous improvement is part of our Baldrige history. It's ingrained in our DNA, so we continue to improve. So there'll be a mix of all that is celebratory and then more to come, right? So to get things started, this is one of those slides from one of the presentations. Now, there's two presentations at the Board of Regents meetings. One that you all saw, probably, or were able to connect with, and that was on Regent Policy Document 1-1 that I'll talk about in a minute. And then there was another presentation that you all didn't see that was in response to some of the Deloitte review that will be becoming public soon. And I'm going to share some of that with you. So, this slide, think about Focus 2030, and for those who are new in the room, that's our strategic plan. So one of our areas is identity, one of the 5 pillars. So think about identity as you look at this slide. We are the state's Polytechnic University, and as Provost Glenda Lee Rodriguez and I emphasized last week, a strong Polytechnic University is important for the system, and it's important for the state. And so I am very pleased to report that the revisions to Regent Policy Document 1-1 were approved by the Board of Regents last week, and there are now, officially, 2 research universities, 10 comprehensives, and 1 polytechnic. So it's pretty exciting stuff, right? That was no small, no small lift, right? We did a lot of work on this campus. We did a lot of advocacy work at the system level, but the regents were very, very receptive. So I bring up this slide because we all have work to do now, right? So when the system, because they will, and when stakeholders, because they will, refer to us as a comprehensive, we treat that as a teaching and learning moment, right? And an easy way to remember how we function as a polytechnic is to use the ABCs of a Polytechnic. Applied learning and research, business and industry collaboration, and career. And we just need to say that over and over and over again as we talk about our identity. And then we give examples of how we take these 3 educational tenets, ABCs of the Polytechnic, and use them on a daily basis at Stout. And we talk about how we have done that for decades. Okay? So, when you're out in public, when you're talking with people and they ask, what does a Polytechnic do? This is what we do. And this is what we do best. And we do it better than, we know that we place students in the workforce better than anybody in the state. So, reinforcing this identity. You may have noticed some changes on campus, right? So we have reinforced some of that branding. We refreshed it throughout campus. There were some areas that needed a little bit of a refresh. And we know that we can't massively change buildings overnight, but we can sure do stuff that reminds people of who we are and how we operate. So we have new branding throughout campus and more to come. Our long-range plan completion and implementation, long-range plan is formally known as the campus master plan. That's the last piece of our planning documents that needed to be revised. That will be finalized and launched this fall. Many of you are deep in the preparation for the Heritage Hall renovation project, so there are moves that are going to be happening all over campus as we plan to vacate that building at the end of spring semester. But all of that gives us the opportunity to talk about what that building will be, right? And how we are renovating that building to be state-of-the-art and to feature our hands-on learning opportunities and our business and industry connections and how we place students in career better than anybody else. And then we had some summer 2024 construction projects that, fingers crossed, are done, right? So the first floor renovation of Jarvis Hall Tech Wing is amazing. You need to go look at it if you haven't already. There's some large overhead doors now with windows looking into the lab. It's labs designed to create that experience of that transparency so people, as they're coming through campus, can look into the labs and see what is happening. It's also there for functionality. We have a lot of big equipment to move in and out of labs, and those big doors will now help with that. So watch what is happening across campus and be able to talk about those spaces. And then next on the list, we got a budget year, right? This is a budget year. And they passed the capital budget at the Board of Regents meeting. And we will be advocating for the recreation and athletic complex renovation. It's number 7 on the capital project list. It's the only major project in the region. So, advocacy will be at top of our list as we work to get permission to bond that segregated fee supported project. So, I'm going to present a few of the slides that you didn't see. These are part of my response to the Deloitte report, which you'll be hearing more about. Many people here last year know that Deloitte was hired by the system to do an examination into the finances of all of the institutions, except for Madison, in the system. So this is one of the slides that I shared with the board. I reminded the board that going into the Deloitte process, we were one of only 3 UWs without a structural deficit. And that is due to the hard work of everybody here across this campus. So this was one of the slides that we shared, emphasizing the reductions that we've made proactively over time. And some of the ways, certainly not all of the ways that we did that. Right? So we worked on proactive institutional and academic restructuring. We looked at our course offerings, the capacity and workload reports. We engaged in very proactive, difficult decision making. I emphasize that this was all of us in. It had to happen across campus. And I also emphasize that when we did this, we produced 4 major planning documents. So not only were we involved in dealing with the pandemic, dealing with the structural deficit, we were also planning for the future. So I reminded them on that last column for 2023 that while it looks like we were in structural deficit, we were not. We reduced that year. We reduced in FY23 at the tune of $1.8 million. What we did was we took $2.5 million and we invested that in the plans that we were producing, namely the Strategic Enrollment Management Plan, in order to drive results and plan for that on the other side of what we were dealing with from an enrollment perspective. So, really being able to tell a proactive story about Stout, and that we all worked really hard to land us in a better financial situation than the other UW campuses, most of the other UW campuses. So I was able to share some of our enrollment successes. This is another slide from that presentation. And what I emphasized on this slide, right, again, the investments that we made proactively, right, during a very difficult time when we were making cuts, because you cannot cut yourself out of a crisis. You have to make investments in order to grow. So we invested in that Strategic Enrollment Management Plan, and we are seeing some of the gains on that investment. Transfer student enrollment is up. Darren Ward and the ESI Enrollment and Strategic Initiatives Office doing a fantastic job on transfer student enrollment. We've increased international student enrollment, made investments there, and the Office of International Education, and again, the ESI unit, doing fabulous work driving those international student numbers up, right? We are continuing to gain on our Minnesota students, and the Minnesota reciprocity enrollment is very important to not only our enrollment, but to the bottom line at Stout. And so all of these investments, driving enrollment in various areas and seeing the results of that return. We also have specific programs that are seeing gains. And what I was able to emphasize is we look program by program, and we're strategic in the way that we invest, right? So our first year numbers are still lagging. This is where there's more to do conversation, right? Those numbers, that's our largest student group. We have to drive those first year student numbers up. That is a major focus for this coming year. But we recognize that we must diversify our student population. We have to create multiple on-ramps and off-ramps for students to benefit from our Polytechnic experience. We need to increase enrollment in specialty program areas and continue to monitor enrollment across all of our program areas. And we need to create a 12-month campus for consumers of all sorts. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Here's another slide, and much to celebrate from the response to the Deloitte report. So, retention. We have all been working very, very hard on retention. And this takes us to Focus 2030, Strategic Pillar Student Success. Okay? We all know, and I told the board, enrollment equals recruitment plus retention. And there is so much to celebrate here. Now, this is a point-in-time estimate, but we're still trending towards this fall-to-fall retention rate of 78%. 4 percentage points, you all, over last year. This is incredible work that we all should be really, really, really proud of. We are now, if this holds, we are now above the system average in all of the categories for retention, right? Fall to fall, and then so on throughout the subsequent years. So something to be very, very proud of and something that I emphasize. So like I said, this work is the result of all of you, right? It's about what we have been focused on for the last several years, becoming a student-ready campus, right? We're understanding what that means. We're prepared for our students and the opportunities and challenges they bring to us, and we are responsive. We've had a large group of folks engaged in the HLC Student Success Academy for several years where we took a deep dive into data, shared that data with campus. You all remember the infographics, and you'll see the infographics across campus again this year as we understand the data and how we need to make changes or reinforce what we're doing to support student success. There has been widespread adoption of EAB Navigate that has helped in terms of our communication strategies with our students. A call out to the Financial Wellness and Literacy Center and the partnership with Student Business Services. They have done a tremendous job helping to eliminate that barrier, that financial need barrier for our students, and educating them in a proactive way, right, so that they can make smart decisions about their financial resources, and they're retaining students. And our first year experience program that continues to evolve, excited about what is coming this year, and of course our advising model, which is part of the Title III grant, and the exceptional work that is happening there. And so I want to pause here for a second, okay, because I know that during the summer, you may have read about the UWS, or the system announcement of possible Chancellor incentive pay that would be tied to retention, up to a 15% bonus depending on guidelines and deliverables. While the details are still pending on this, I want to be very clear about this issue. If I receive any bonus pay for retention increases, I will be writing a check to the Stout University Foundation for that amount to support student success at Stout. And likewise, the 2% increase that I was given in addition to the pay plan will be donated back to the university this fiscal year through the Stout University Foundation to support Blue Devil athletics. Unless and until my colleagues are paid what they deserve through appropriate increases at the state and system level, I will not take anything more than the percentage of increase awarded to my colleagues through the pay plan. We are in this together. We only get better when we work together. So this slide and the next slide are also from the Deloitte response presentation, so you're getting all of it, right? Getting all of it today. So these are some areas that I emphasized here beyond enrollment. Yes, we have to drive enrollment. Yes, we have to improve our first-year student numbers. But that's not the only thing, right, that supports our institution from a revenue perspective. And so these are a couple of the opportunities that were presented by Deloitte that we're already working on. So basically, we said, these are some important opportunities that we have underway. Do you agree? And they agreed. So the 12-month campus strategy, working to have a vibrant campus year-round. So when I stand up here in the fall, I'm not saying, oh, it's the best time of year because the campus has come alive. We want the campus to be alive 12 months out of the year. And this is a way that we can, right, accommodate for some of the challenges from an enrollment perspective. So you can see, we are already moving the needle. Our academic affairs and the colleges have been working hard to grow winter and summer enrollment. Happy to report that summer 24 enrollment was up slightly, but it was up 1%. It's up. This is a good start, and there is a committee led by Vice Chancellor Adis Kaikaolu that is working to continue to grow enrollment during these periods. And the Educational Pathways and Outreach Unit, Blue Devil Athletics, the Student Centers, and the Office of Corporate Relations and Economic Engagement, formerly the Discovery Center, deserve recognition for their hard work this summer, as do facilities, custodial, dining, catering, and the others for the support of all of this activity, right, in youth camps, in industry, business, and community use, in events that was happening over the summer. And then you'll see that there is much to celebrate in the fundraising and development efforts. So a big shout out to the Stout University Foundation team, UW-Stout Foundation team. The name has changed. You got to get used to it. UW-Stout Foundation team and everybody across campus for their hard work on fundraising and development. And on the horizon will be another comprehensive campaign. You can see the previous one that ended in June of 2020 was very successful, exceeding goal of $35 million, hitting hitting that amount of $48.5 million. And then this slide, again from the Deloitte presentation, it emphasizes another area where we can drive revenue streams. And going into the review with Deloitte, we knew that this was a focus area for us and that we were making small incremental gains in the area of grant funding, contract review, and consulting revenue. And so I want to give a call out to the Office of Research and Sponsored Programs and Business Finance and Administrative Services, as well as all of the faculty and staff who are working very, very hard on grant funding and contract revenue. Again, we are making gains. But I also really want to call out the Stout Vocational Rehabilitation Institute. They had a banner year. They brought in an additional $1.4 million over FY23. That's remarkable. So, to summarize the three opportunities that were presented by Deloitte, one was increased grant, contract, and consulting services. One was becoming a 12-month university, and the other harkens back to the way I started this. Their third recommendation was a need for amplification and support of our identity as Wisconsin's Polytechnic University by the universities of Wisconsin and the state. So none of these achievements, and there are many, would be possible without our employees, right? And this is I lost track of how many pillars I've counted: identity, student success, employee success, institutional sustainability as well. So, employee success, part of our Focus 23 strategic plan. And some things to think about: work from last year, extending into this year, and some things that happened over the summer. Our Employee Success Committee is working really hard from a people, process, culture perspective. We had an endowment that supported some academic programmatic evolution for a while that we shifted over into the human resources office with the permission of the donor to be able to support the employee success operations around with a specific focus on people, process, culture, thinking about how all of us impact, right, the future of our institution. We have a new chairperson of that committee, and that is Marcos Rodriguez. Our human resources area this summer, you see the award there. They did the hard work to submit an application for us to be designated a family-friendly workplace, and we received gold status. So we were able to celebrate that, and we showed them parts of campus that really go to support that. So the Child and Family Studies Center, the library, and the various resources in the library that support both our campus and the larger community. Mental health and wellness operations, both from an academic perspective as well as services for the community and for the campus. We also visited the plastics lab, going under a renovation, and talked to them about our summer youth camps. So there's much to celebrate there, and we're very proud of that achievement. And I just also want to call out, because during this time, we are benefiting from all of the hard work that goes into planning these professional development weeks. So we continue to focus on our ability to provide opportunities for employee success through professional development. And then you've heard a lot about LEAP, leading educational advancement through Polytechnic pathways, right? And you've seen announcements about this innovation accelerator. This idea came out of the AFIT, Alliance for Innovation and Transformation experience last summer, and it came from faculty and staff. This summer, we focused on AI, sent a group to AFIT to benefit from that focus area, which was centered on AI activity. And this summer, I also spent time in Washington, D.C. with Katie Wright and Zenon Smolik to talk about the great work we've been doing across campus around sustainability and to receive the Green Ribbon Award. I got out of the way and let Katie and Zenon accept that award, because it's really due to their hard work, leadership in this campus that we earned that recognition. And then, stay tuned, rock your socks are coming to feet near you in the future. So that is coming from the Stout Standout work and our Employee Success Committee. And then later this week, we'll hear where we stand on the Great Colleges to Workforce Survey as we make gains, but there's still work to be done. And finally, on equity, diversity, and inclusivity. This is the fifth pillar, or one of the 5 pillars of Focus 2030. And we know this is becoming an increasingly difficult space to do our work, both nationally and in the state of Wisconsin. But this is part of our Focus 2030 strategic plan, and we will continue to work to make Stout as inclusive an environment for all of our employees, staff, and greater stakeholders as we move forward. So as we go into this year, there's some things that will be rolling out and some reminders of some work that happened last year. So the land acknowledgement, you'll hear more about that this fall. It went through approval in all of the 4 senates last year, and there'll be a programming and educational period this fall, and we expect the land acknowledgement to roll out formally in spring of this year. Mental health and wellness remains one of our focus areas, and we will be hosting the Universities of Wisconsin Culturally Responsive Approaches to Student Mental Health, which is all about equity and mental health. That will happen this year. Last year, we were heavily involved in community-based events around equity, diversity, and inclusion, and we expect those to continue this year. International students, I told you the numbers way up, right? So as we think about creating an environment where all of our students can be successful, we need to keep in mind that we have a much larger population of international students on our campus this fall. You'll hear more about, and you have during professional development weeks, the freedom of expression and civil discourse work, and the connections between this work and the EDI office. And again, I've already talked about being a student-ready campus. That ties into this work as well. So, our work in this space will continue. And looking ahead, a lot's happening, right? A lot is happening. And when I look at this list, what I see is that Polytechnic identity. It brings us back to RPD 1-1. It brings us back to what Deloitte emphasized in terms of our importance, not just to our region, but what it means to be a Polytechnic in the system, how we benefit the system, how we benefit the state. So I've already talked about LEAP. That's all about innovation, changing the rate of change, right? Staying ahead. AFIT and AI, I've already mentioned this as well. There is a committee on campus. The 2 chairs of that committee were at AFIT, and so you will be hearing more about that work as we move forward. There are AI fellows, and many of them throughout campus that are working on specific projects, but we'll also be hearing more about those projects as we move through fall semester and spring semester. And much of that was possible because of the workforce funding, which was part of our budget. Remember, that was removed from our budget and then returned to our budget. But Glenda Lee Rodriguez really put together a fantastic proposal on how we use that money, right, to invest in our work around AI and technology and move this work forward in a strategic, deliberative way as we look ahead. And then there are a lot of major events, and this is not a comprehensive list. But again, when you think Polytechnic identity, when you think about the ABCs of the Polytechnic, applied learning, business and industry, connections, career, look at this list. It screams Polytechnic. Make 48 is coming back this fall. This is the televised version of Make 48. And for those of you who weren't dialed in last year, this is the competitive competition for around making for 48 hours. It will be a combined high school teams from throughout the region, throughout the state really, and Stout students combined on those teams, competing on a problem that is put forward by business and industry partners. So stay tuned for that, and then you can watch it on TV. The Wisconsin Science Olympiad will be hosting that. Design Wisconsin. Incredible event, right? It was at Milwaukee Tool this summer. It's coming to Stout this summer. Well, this spring, really, right before the Global Polytechnic Summit, which is going to be back at Stout. So stay tuned, because lots going to be happening around those things. The West Central Manufacturing and Workforce Summit will be on campus. The Sustainability Annual Meeting will be at Stout. We will launch the Year of Design with Design Wisconsin in the spring, and we will celebrate design in all of its shapes, forms, variations over the following year, to conclude with the community event, the Wall Dogs Mural Project, that will happen the following spring and early summer. And then to cap everything else off, a year from October, we will have our HLC visit. Yay! But really, I am not concerned. There's work to do, right? But we planned for this work. And when I think of Meredith Wentz and her team in the park office, and when I think of our Baldrige history, and when I sit in front of the regents and I talk about what I do and what we do as an institution, it is so easy to talk about that work. So easy to talk about that work, because it's all tied to who we are as Wisconsin's Polytechnic, and we know that is how we understand what it means to be Stout proud. So thank you all for everything you do. Lots to celebrate, and lots of opportunities ahead. Thank you. So I missed the cue there. There's our Stout Proud cue. And now I'll move into the engagement session awards. And I have to read from the script here because it is a very robust script. And I don't want to miss anybody. And I apologize in advance if I mispronounce any names. I will do my best not to. So we added this component to the engagement session at the request from feedback from the engagement session, and you said we did, and just general feedback. So some awards will be presented today, and then other awards, depending on timing, will be presented at You Said We Did in January. And for those of you who don't know what You Said We Did means, what that signifies, that's closing that feedback loop. So we have this check-in at the beginning of the year as we launch the year, and then January we look back on some of the things that we said we were going to do and gauge how well we did that. And again, that's tied to our Baldrige history. So our first award is a University Staff Appreciation Awards. And so when I start reading names, if you're here, stand up, please. And we will hold our applause until the end of the list of names. We'll do that for each category. I know that people don't love doing that, but it's important to be recognized. So this award is in its 18th year, and this award was established by the Chancellor's Office and is co-sponsored by the University Staff Senate. The award recognizes university staff for their commitment to excellence in a university community. The award is given every month during the academic year, and it's so much fun because they always coordinate a surprise. So it's a great celebration every month. So I'm pleased to recognize the following recipients. And again, if you're here, stand up and we'll applaud you at the end. Alexandra Bates, Nicole Baker, Diane Durst, Lisa Meister, Stephanie Danielson, Karin Rue, Ginger Hoppe, Jackie Garfield, and Alex Sell. Anybody here? Our next award is a Chancellor's Academic Staff Award for Excellence. And this award recognizes members of the academic staff with more than 4 years of full-time experience who have demonstrated outstanding ability and performance and show potential for future professional contributions to the university. Award winner selection includes a nomination process and recommendations by the Professional Development Committee by the Senate of the Academic Staff. And I'm pleased to recognize Chela Saya, and Emily Laird. And our next award is the Outstanding Teacher Award. Each year, UW-Stout students select outstanding teachers from each college. I'm pleased to recognize the following recipients: Mackenzie Krismarzik, Mary Climbs, Catherine Hamilton, Brenda Puck, Nicole Hayes, and Seth Dutter. And next, we have the Research Awards. And this includes the Outstanding Graduate Faculty Award, selected annually by graduate students. We also have the Emerging Outstanding Researcher and Senior Outstanding Researcher, which recognize highly noteworthy individuals for leadership and significant contributions to research and scholarly activities at UW-Stout. And the Emerging Outstanding Researcher Award goes to someone who has been at the institution for 6 years or less, while the Senior Outstanding Researcher recognizes someone who has been at the institution for 7 or more years. And finally, we have the Outstanding Research Mentor. New this year, this award recognizes a highly noteworthy individual who has demonstrated excellence in supporting student research and fostering students' educational, professional, and personal growth through participation in this high-impact practice. So, I'm pleased to recognize across 2 slides, Pradabindu Mitra, Kelly Draghi, Dana Linnell, Jerry Hoy, and Jennifer Grant. And our next award is the Barnard Outstanding Service Award. This award was established by David and Kay Barnard to recognize library staff members who have made outstanding contributions in serving the information needs of students, faculty, and staff. I'm pleased to recognize the following recipient, Tanya Gunkel. And next, we have faculty promotions and tenure. This is a long list. This includes faculty who are promoted to associate professor with tenure, professor, and tenure. This year, we also recognize instructional academic staff promoted to senior lecturer. So, Kathy Brock, Fraser Clark, Becky DeGrief, Kevin McDonald, Greg Sloop, Michael Hagel, Alex Jordan, Ann Schmitz, Tyler Thomas, Abhishek Verma, Vincent Wheeler, Monica Herman, next slide, Emily Hines, Jerry Hoy, Kelly O'Brien, Matt Simino, Michael Bird, Kevin Wilkinson, Camille Banger, Dale Kragschmidt, Craig Kosek, Ed McBride, and Jocelyn Reichert. Oops. And next, we have sabbaticals. And my guess is some of these people might not be here because they're on sabbatical. So sabbaticals are awarded to faculty to pursue professional accomplishments and growth. And so I am pleased to recognize Julie Peterson, Adam Cramschuster, Charlie Loom, Wei Chung, Chelsea Lovejoy. And next we have 2 endowed chairs. First is the Q Endowed Chair with the purpose of providing a research foundation and repository that studies the positive and/or negative interactions between human development, family stability, economic stability, and vocational technical preparation at all educational levels: career development, governmental, national, state, local regulations, and the cost effectiveness of educational programming in public, private, and alternative educational settings. That's all one sentence. The findings are to be used to establish a data bank for other researchers and educational practitioners and provide in-service training and workshops on best practices in educational settings. And the second is the Grace Loudon Ostenso Nutrition and Food Science Endowed Chair. The purpose of this endowed chair is to support nutrition and food science. The chair is awarded in recognition of outstanding promise and provides support for the recipient's research, grant writing, or other professional activities in food and nutrition. So I'm pleased to recognize Debbie Stanislawski and Lindsay Heidelberger. And we have 4 professorship awards. The John Jed Copham Professorship is intended to support faculty and instructional academic staff in the Department of Engineering and Technology. And the Lenore Landry Apparel Design and Development Professorship provides UW-Stout the ability to attract and retain high-quality faculty in the apparel design area, to acknowledge and honor an individual's ability to provide leadership within the department, and to fund research or special projects related to the apparel design and development program. The individual chosen for the professorship will be knowledgeable in clothing, textiles, and design techniques, develop processes and systems for the apparel design curriculum, and work with industry and business to identify student cooperative education sites. And the Mabel Rainey Price Professorship provides recognition of outstanding ability and promise and provides support for the recipient's professional activities to a faculty member in the area of education, health, or human sciences. And finally, the Andrew Schneider Professorship is given in recognition of outstanding ability and promise. The focus for this year was on applications that align with the university's strategic enrollment planning efforts. And so I'm pleased to recognize the following recipients: Devin Berg, Joan Ree, Julie Bates-Maves, and Kenan Baltacha. Sorry, Kenan. And next we have the Office of Professional and Instructional Development Awards. They include the Wisconsin Teaching Fellow and Faculty College. The Wisconsin Teaching Fellow and Scholars program offers UW faculty and teaching academic staff a unique opportunity to collaborate with other exceptional teachers from across the UW system and from various disciplines. Faculty College is designed as an institute for university teams led by teaching and learning center directors. And so I'm pleased to recognize the following individuals: Lauren Johnson, Kate Liu, Jerry Hoy, Heather Hessel, Kate Roberts Edenberg, Sylvia Tiala, Mike Mills, Kevin Deach, Michael Sellover, and Richard Gee. And the final awards are our Stout Standouts. And we have had many Stout employees. I'm not reading this list, don't worry. We have had many Stout employees recognized by their colleagues since January 1st as a Stout Standout. The number of Stout Standouts has doubled since last semester, and this recognition program provides an opportunity to recognize faculty and staff for their contributions, dedication, and commitment to the UW-Stout community. And if your name is on one of the 3 screens, please stand and be recognized. So all I have to say now is thank you. Thank you, and let's have a great fall semester.
All right, thank you, Chancellor Frank. Lots to celebrate. Thanks for all you've done to help us achieve these impressive accomplishments that we just went through this morning. And how about one more round of applause for all of our award recipients? So now we will break for lunch and activities. Now there are specific instructions for how to access the lunch line. You will be going out this door over here. So you see if you sat in the front row, you're going to be closer to getting to the door here. So you go out the door here and then to the left. And you'll wrap around to get to the lunch line. Once you get through the lunch line, we have seating available both outside and inside. We have